What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and man do I have a good video for you guys. We are going to be revisiting this topic as I keep getting asked what my updated opinion are on these two handguns and should you go out and get them, because potentially we could see them being discontinued, right? With CZ having so much going on and putting out new releases, potentially even their stack and a half Micro 9 this year, hopefully, right? Because I will be the first one to buy that handgun. And basically that's what you have here. You have two handguns that if you put them together, it would make you that stack and a half Micro 9. But CZ hasn't done that yet. But are these pistols still awesome and viable options? Of course they are. Are they still affordable? Of course they are. I would say that these CZ pistols and this CZ line right here is the best value for your dollar. For $300 and $350, you cannot beat these two CZ pistols with your wallet. Unless it's a Shield Plus. That's also counts, but these two are top of the line handguns that are actually going for a decent price, and I'll explain why in a second. But before I get started, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into it. I just want to say thank you guys. I appreciate all the support. Sometimes I don't get around to saying it, but it does mean a lot to me. The CZ P10M, cleared and safety checked, is a $300, as low as $240 I've seen it, but on average it's about $300. It's a micro pistol. It is CZ's version of a micro pistol. It was designed for pocket carry, deep concealment, and light carry. And we also have the CZ P10S. Very affordable because people don't like subcompacts. They don't mind compacts, they don't mind micro 9s, but for some reason they don't like the middleman, which is the CZ P10S. And we're going to get into it, which is one of my favorite handguns, one of my best shooting handguns. Now, this going for, we're going to say, just about $300 is probably one of the greatest values you can get. CZ quality is top-notch, and it's through the roof. As you'll notice on these pistols, the finish is flawless. And for pocket carry, that is what you want. If you live somewhere where it gets hot, or you're pocket carrying at work, like I've even pocket carried this at work as a new construction plumber, and this is the finish that you want on your handgun for those type of conditions, right? Awesome serrations that actually look really nice. Now the sights I'm not the biggest fan of. They have to be charged in light to be tritium sights, but I don't really go out at night anyway, so I don't really need a flashlight, even though I carry a handheld. I don't need a light on it, and I don't need night sights, but I do like having night sights. And that's what they look like once they're charged. So what does being charged mean? If you let it sit out in light for a couple hours, it'll last a couple days, usually. But once again, you can't trust them to always be there. But once again, a micro pistol, a pocket pistol like this is a get-off-me gun. It's meant to get you off me from close range within 25, 30 yards. And I can hit shots with this 50, 60, 70 yards. Not every single time, but I can hit. So this is a decent handgun. Now, as far as what does it have on it feature-wise? Well, it's a single stack that has a rail. Not a lot of single stacks like the 43, the Shield, stuff like that have a rail. So you can throw a light on this. But just remember, the CZ P10M, since the internet ruined this handgun and gave it terrible reviews, there are very few holster makers. What I've been using for my holsters is Vetter, but you're not going to find a Vetter holster with it with a light. You're going to probably have to go to a custom holster company for that. But they do give you that option. An awesome, nice trigger guard. You can fit a glove finger in there pretty well. And for reference, I use size large gloves. I'm going to throw the 7-round mag in. That's 7 plus 1 for 8 rounds. And I get almost 2.5 fingers on it basically. But I shoot it like this. And this thing handles recoil so well. It doesn't handle recoil as well as the P10S, but basically as good. I mean, it really does handle recoil for its size. Like I said, 7 plus 1, 8 rounds in the setup. Nice sight picture that are metal. On top of that, it does have really nice texturing. Now with skinny handguns, I like to add a little bit of grip or a little bit of width, whatever the case may be. I added like 2 layers of grip. As you can see, my job got ripped and is falling off. But man, does this feel good in the hand. And man, do I love how it feels. And that just really helps with shootability. Absolutely love it. Now, the number one complaint is there's no slide stop, right? So what do you have to do? The way a handgun functions. You just slingshot it. On top of that, with most CZs, they have the function to where if you slam that mag home, if you really give it a good smack, it'll chamber that round and rack that slide for you. So that's why you don't even need it. And on top of that, you get all the benefits of it being 100% snag free. Absolutely love it. For pocket carry, this is a pocket carry dream right here. And yes, it does fit in pockets. It literally fits in the sweatpants I'm using right now. So absolutely love it. And I do have a Vetter pocket locker holster for it. Now, this setup right here is 9+1, so 10 rounds. Still very thin and skinny, and still feels great in the hand, and you get a full 3-finger contact, and it's about the same size as a Glock 43X, which is 10+1. This setup being 9+1, and that's with that Hive base plate. But feels really good in the hand. I carry it both ways. Now, the number one reason people hate this handgun is the trigger. No, it's not a 3-pound trigger. It's not a 4-pound trigger, but it's a good trigger. Now, it's probably about 7 to 8 pounds, but watch, ready? As you can see, very light, very short. That wall's very defined, though. It's probably about 7 to 8 pounds, but a very shootable trigger. Reset's nice. It's crisp. It's clean. It kicks back at you. It's that trigger pull at that wall that people don't like. But once again, this is a defensive pistol. This is not competition. And yes, shooting fast can help. But this is perfect for pocket carry. You want a little bit heavier trigger. For self-defense, you want a little bit of heavier trigger. You got adrenaline going through you. You know, you don't know what's going on. You don't want to accidentally depress that trigger, and that just helps. I could do this all day without it going off. But it's still very clean and crisp. As you can see, awesome memory pads on it. This handgun, in my opinion, is an awesome, awesome deal. I like having a versatile lineup. I like having some small handguns that might be capacity challenged. I like having larger handguns that could be for home defense. And I like somewhere in between for everyday carry. So I like having a very versatile collection. Therefore, you can carry at all times. Now, we'll do the size comparison real quick between the two. And then we'll talk about the CZ P10S. Here's the width. So notice the CZ P10S is much thicker, right? But that does help with shootability, even though the P10M handles recoil really well. You see how wide that P10S is? You can see barrel to barrel now. 12+1 on the left, 7+1 on the right. Now with that Hive base plate, 9+1 on the right, 12+1 on the left, right? So you can see that there, it does lose the capacity battle, but it's much thinner, much lighter, much easier to carry. Now, the CZ P10S is basically the identical handgun. It has the same finish, which is amazing, same serrations, but this handgun right here is a tack driver. It has that trigger, which we're going to talk about. Comes with a rail, comes with memory pads, basically the same exact handgun. This one was just made smaller and with a different trigger. You're going to find more sight options for the CZ P10S, but this has the same thing. It has the glow sights, so you have to charge them, but I have seen tritium versions, and you can also find plenty of sight pictures for the P10S, so not a big deal. If you guys like the slide stop, man, is this handgun perfect for you, because it works really well. Very, very well. Launches the mag out, as it should. And what I like about the P10S over the C or the F is, still got a 3.8 or 3.6 inch barrel, whatever it is, but I have a base plate, a Hive base plate, and I can get 15 rounds. I also have like 19 and 21 round mags for this handgun. So this will eat every round from every larger mag. But at the same time, I can still shorten it and conceal it to this 12+1 setup, which, like the CZ P10M, I can only get 2.5 fingers on, which isn't a big deal because it's such a smooth, flat shooting handgun. In terms of ergonomics, it does have a little bit better ergonomics than the P10M just because it's wider and thicker. Has awesome texturing, just like the P10M. You wouldn't think that these little squares or pyramids would be great, but I absolutely love them. So, awesome. 13 round setup, like I said. Let's go ahead and get in that trigger. Another thing I want to mention is look how big that trigger guard difference is. You can easily get a gloved finger in here versus the P10M. You know, you can, but it's a little bit harder. And you can also see the trigger shape difference. That plays a role in that larger trigger guard. But let's go ahead and take a look at this trigger. It's unbelievable. And this thing is just a tack driver. It's light, it's audible, it's crisp. It's literally everything you want in a defensive trigger. But you're also not going to be throwing this in your pocket for deep concealment, right? It's a little bit big, a little bit heavy, a little bit thick. But man, I just love this handgun. The P10S is one of my favorite handguns. So if I could only choose one, which one would it be? Well, if I only had one for the rest of my life, I would choose the P10S. Simply because it's a less recoil, faster shooter, better trigger, better ergonomics. But for deep concealment, I'm taking the CZ P10M all day. But what's amazing about this is you can get the two handguns for $650. That's the price of some Glocks, the price of some SIG P365s, and you have a very versatile setup. You can use this for home defense, everyday carry, that whole sort of thing. Whereas the M you could use as your deep concealment, your light carry, your active carry. Two awesome handguns from the same series. Both play their role great. Love both handguns. And people are going to say, oh, it's a single stack, it's limited, but for $300, just use it as a beater, right? Just a handgun you throw around. You know, it goes with you everywhere. You don't care about messing it up. You don't care about destroying it. It just is what it is. I would carry the P10M at work. I do already have a work setup, but this has been carried at my work before, and I loved it. And it's basically set up perfect for pocket carry at work. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Two awesome handguns, not to be overlooked. Thanks for watching.